I haven't had the time to watch any film yet since it just got announced, but I don't think he'll be a threat that we need to worry about too much. We have great players, we got a great offensive line, so we'll be able to handle him.
I wouldn't say as much as a challenge. I know my guys. They're ready for the challenge. It's been like that. A couple games, Mizzou game. They said there was a good run defense. We put up over 200 rushing yards.
We lost the game of the line of scrimmage, and I think it got worse in the second half. I think, we just couldn't keep them off of us. We couldn't get the run game established. We became one dimensional. Once we became one dimensional, they were able to tee off. I think they finished with 7 sacks. We didn't win the line of scrimmage, and you can't play playoff football and not win the line of scrimmage. And then obviously they were able to get the run game going, and we wound up losing the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and you're just not going to win if that's the case.
As the great Cat Williams once said, you shouldn't have been talking mess. Texas A&M went out there and ran their mouth before they had to line it up against our Hurricanes, and them boys learned a hard lesson. You hate to see it. You hate to see it for them boys. Appreciate everybody jumping in. If you are watching, if you are tuning in, again, always thanks. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. Really, really appreciate it. Again, only started this page up about a month ago. This YouTube channel up about a month ago, I should say. Already up over 70 subs. Really appreciated that. People give me up to 50 so that I could do live shows like this. Again, there's going to be so much more dope stuff I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to be in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. Might try and do a live show on site right there from Jerry World. Might be able to do some stuff even inside the stadium during the game. So appreciate all the love and the folks liking and subscribing and allowing me to do these things. Please continue to show love. If you're a Canes fan, keep coming in, dropping comments. Let's talk ball. Let's talk Canes ball. Let's get into the weeds as Canes fans always do when it comes to our squad, and always being really, really in the trenches, so to speak, when it comes to our Hurricanes. So obviously everybody knows by now, Miami went out, literally out to College Station to get a dub against Texas A&M on the road in the first round of college football playoffs. This has been discussed in full by everybody, right? And all the podcasts, all the talking heads, anybody who covers college football has already dove into this game and talked at least high level about what they thought went wrong, what happened, how Miami was able to go out and get a grind out 10-3 victory over the Aggies, as you can see in the graphic. I want to do something a little bit different, though, because amongst Canes fans, a lot of what I'm hearing is that Dawson called a trash game. Dawson pissed down his leg. Dawson got too cute, way too many trick plays. Something that Canes fans asked him to do less of, ended up being the best thing that he could do. I'm going to get into all of that. Were there too many trick plays? What was Carson doing? Carson's not worth the $4 million. I've seen multiple people say that as well. Did Carson piss down his leg? Was he not able to deliver when we asked him to? We're going to see what the film says, right? Because when it comes to football, the film always tells the truth. Men lie, women lie, film don't. So let's dive into some film. Let's talk about what actually happened on the field and what we thought or what we felt in the moment. Was that really what happened? That's what I really want to get into. So let's just do it. Let's go ahead and get into that film. The first topic that I hear a lot of conversation about was the play calling too cute. Was it too horizontal? Too many trick plays? And at first, when I watched the game, I thought, yeah. I'm like, why are we doing all of this? Way too horizontal. Why are we not challenging these corners up the field? Obviously, now we know the 30-mile-per-hour wind was a factor. That was a piece of it. But even deeper than that, the film actually showed that almost all of the trick plays that Dawson called actually could have worked. And I want to get into some of those. So I did realize from doing my last stream that the way I was showing the videos wasn't really wasn't allowing me to kind of use my cursor, so y'all couldn't see some of the stuff I was pointing at. So I'm going to share it in a different way. I'm going to do share screen. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's pull this thing up. And let's go ahead and get into the first trick play, or the first quote-unquote cute play that happened in this game. So this is going to be one. First of all, I'm going to just let the play run, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So trick play, Malachi, jet motion. He's looking to throw the ball up the field. He's not looking to run the ball at all. Now, this play didn't work, right? Incomplete pass at the end of the play. The thing that caught my attention, though, that would have worked, and we've done this before, Dawson has run this play before. Watch Carson Beck on this play. Ooh, look at Carson. Look at Carson down here. Where's the nearest defender? Is it this guy who's chasing the opposite way? This safety also chasing the opposite way. The DN stayed home for the reverse, also now chasing the opposite way. Now, in the interview Dawson did, he said that Carson wasn't really a read on this play. My question is, why not? We've run this play before with a throwback to Carson. You know this team is going to throw a lot of man coverage at you. The film showed that they were really disciplined when it came to trick plays. Why wouldn't Carson be an option, would be my question. Carson could have crawled and gotten 20 yards. Even if the wind carried the ball, there's no threat of an interception because there's nobody near him. And if he does catch the ball, Carson runs in Timberlands on the beach, according to my homie Herb. Even with that being the case, he easily gets minimum 20 yards. So this is a first trick play that we ran, and it could have worked. Now, it didn't work partly because maybe the biggest element or the biggest threat in this wasn't a factor. It wasn't even part of the read. My question was, why wasn't it part of the read? Like, why wouldn't that have been part of it, considering everything that you saw Texas A&M put on film and being really good against trick plays? They do a really good job of staying home on those kind of plays. And so I don't know why you wouldn't. That's why the Philly special works, because nobody thinks to follow the quarterback. We've run a similar concept before, and it worked where nobody was around Carson. He ends up walking into the end zone. Don't know why that wouldn't have been an option on this play, but it was a trick play. Ultimately, it didn't work, but it very well could have worked. Here's another one that is quote unquote cute or quote unquote a trick play that some may not have liked. And on the field, live in the game, it also did not get any positive yardage. But this, more than anything with all of these plays, the issue, in my opinion, was execution. So again, I'm going to let the play run, and then we'll talk about what did and what didn't happen. All right, so we are running a little bit of a not an RPO, because really we are holding the D in. Actually, it is RPO. You're holding the D in here. You can see Carson. If I back it up a little bit, right? You see Carson. Where is he looking? He's looking at this DN. And if that DN crashes inside, he's going to pull this ball out and throw it to Malachi Tony, which is ultimately what he does, right? He's reading the DN, pulls it out, DN stays inside. Molly should be able to get out. Little bit thrown off because of the alignment and where the DN ended. So he doesn't come out as clean as you would like. But here's the issue, or my opinion, on why this play failed. Ballman is the lead guy. It is designed for him to be the lead guy. Now, Ballman is supposed to lead out this way. But this is where your awareness got to kick in. This is where the execution has to come in, because if Ballman realizes earlier that these guys are in pursuit, really this guy is in pursuit, and he stops right now and comes back and blocks this guy, Molly is going to have nothing but running room up here. Nothing but room to run. He realizes it, but too late. And now you stop and you try and get hands on him, play is over. So this is another cute or trick play. It's obviously a horizontal play that, in my opinion, would have worked if we just would have executed it properly. And we didn't. So when it comes to those kind of plays, it's got to be about execution. It's got to be about guys doing the right things, having the right awareness of what to do during a live play to make sure that the play actually works. I want to get into one more trick play. Now, this one I think had a lot of people upset because we're down in the red zone. I believe this is after the first Bryce Fitzgerald interception. Really an opportunity to possibly take control of this game, and we're unable to do it. We end up having to settle for a field goal attempt. Again, though, this play had a chance to work if we just execute, right? So I'm going to let the play run, and then we'll break down what happened. Now, by the way, this is a look that we have not given all season. They have not executed this or attempted to do this at all year. It goes for a few yards, but that's it. But stay with me. Stay with me. Conceptually, I really like this play. Conceptually, this absolutely should have and could have worked. So when we send those guys in motion, you see what happens. The defense has to respect the fact that you now have several blockers. I want to say it was 3 or 4 blockers out there to the outside with Malachi Tony standing behind them, who everybody knows is absolutely a threat. The defense knows they have to be aware of where he is and how they're going to try to stop him. But then you bring him in motion. The safety down here at the bottom kind of trails a little bit, but Malachi's running full speed already in the opposite direction. He's not really a threat, certainly not an immediate threat, and he's one that can be dealt with later. But look at what you end up with up front. You end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers versus 1, 2, 3 defensemen. You want those numbers. When you're dialing up any play, you want leverage. You want to win the numbers game. We've got 4 blocking 3. And Malachi Tony, who's probably going to make the first guy miss anyway. So you almost kind of like got a 4-on-2 if you do it the right way. But here's the problem. We don't execute. Watch the play develop. 2 things. Oh, my Lanta. 2 things. Bring it back. Bring it back. All right. Hat on the hat. Hat on the hat. Hat on the hat. Elijah Laughlin is doing his job. This guy is doing a pretty good job of sealing the edge, but that's fine. That's not really a big issue. You've got Ballman, I believe this is, blocking TJ Searcy, number 18. Now, Searcy is working up the field. That's not an issue. McCoy gives him a push, but you don't seal it. It's not sealed. And the way I know it's not sealed is because he puts his foot in the ground and it's part of the tackle. So not only, McCoy, do you not seal it, just run it back. You put your hands on him. He doesn't really move. Like, you pushed him and it really didn't do anything to him. It didn't move him further out of the way. And then look at you. Marley is now in the hole. And where are you? You're in the hole. Bro, no. You're in the way. So not only did you not seal one of the defensemen, you're also now in the way of the ball carrier. If McCoy makes that push against Searcy and then at least just climbs and gets the 3, maybe Molly is able to squeeze out of the hole to 5 who crashed in. He ends up winning on the inside against, I believe this to be, oh my gosh, the center, James Brockemeyer. Maybe Molly's able to squeeze through, but you're in the way. Look at McCoy. You're in the way. Molly's basically running into you. Come on, man. That's execution. That's not bad play calling. That's bad execution. So regardless of what Dawson was going to call, regardless of what the play call is, if you don't execute, it's not going to work. And you could drop the best play in the world. Perfect play call against the perfect defense in that time. But if you don't execute, it's not going to work. A lot of the trick plays, a lot of the cute plays that didn't work in this game didn't work because we didn't execute. And that ain't about Dawson. That's about the guys doing their job. That's about the guys not having the awareness and not doing the things that I know they're being taught to do. Because if you execute on those plays likely work. So that's on us. That's not on Dawson. That's on the players. That's not on Dawson. So a lot of times the folks say, oh, Dawson called a bad game. I don't think so. I don't think that's a bad play call, either of those. Now, can you say that, yeah, there was something much more simple that was working? Sure. You could say that. And I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to come right back to that. But that ain't on Dawson. And then there was a lot of talk, too, about the third down play call. We knew going into the game that Texas A&M was going to do some very exotic stuff when it came to blitzing. And you wanted Dawson to be able to be prepared for that. And there were some plays where I think the play calling would have been fine. Again, we just don't execute. I'm going to let the play run, and then we'll talk about it. All right. Matthew McCoy didn't have his best game. I'm going to let it play one more time. Just watch Matt McCoy right here. He's in here at left guard, his usual spot. He didn't have his best game. Watch him the entire play. Who did you block? Tell me who Matthew McCoy blocked on this play. Because if you could tell me who he blocked, then I'll get off his case. He blocked air. He was blocking me, and I was here in Florida. Bro, look, you got to execute. Now, this is a really good blitz that Texas A&M calls, a really good stunt. And Mario said that Texas A&M was going to challenge our blocking principles, and this is a case of them doing that. I think you got to just communicate better. One, McCoy should be passing this off, right? We're in max protect. We've got a bunch of blockers. We have the numbers. Ballman is in there to block. The running back is in there to block, Mark Fletcher. So you have to pass this off. And if he does pass this off, him and Ballman, right, again, in a zone blocking scheme, but I'm going to assume this is a man blocking scheme. If he does pass this off and Ballman is there to pick that guy up, then we're great. But Ballman is chasing this Torian York on the stunt. McCoy was chasing number 11 on the stunt. He ends up letting him go. Ballman ends up getting to York and standing him up. But what you end up with a rusher right in Carson's face. That play is dead. That's not going to work. And the crazy part is, I think if we do block it up, if you look at Malachi Tony, this is a route to get him open in the middle of the field right here. And if Carson is able to plant his feet and deliver this ball, this is likely a complete pass, and it's likely a first down. But instead, we get beat on the stunt. They challenged our principles. We weren't in the right places, and now it's a punt. So again, is that on Dawson? I don't think so. I wouldn't put that on Dawson. Now, what I will give Dawson, and I'm going to give Carson, I think when Carson was asked to make throws, he did a really good job. Carson didn't win the game by any means, but also Carson didn't lose the game. Marcel Reed lost Texas in this game. Carson did not lose us this game. And when there were times that he could make some plays, I thought he did some good things. Elements kind of just kicked in. We've all talked about it at this point. We've all seen it. But I wanted to show this clip. This is going to be the go ball to JoJo that ends up being incomplete. Two things. One, shout out to Dawson because he did a really good job of stacking plays together, seeing what Texas A&M was doing and counteracting in this sense. On the prior possession, we ran a similar formation where you have a 3-by-1, and we actually did this several times throughout the game. You get a 3-by-1. There's a single high safety who's standing in the middle of the field, but naturally, when he sees this alignment, his instincts are going to tell him to fire to the boundary because that's where the bigger threats are. This corner at the bottom is in man coverage against JoJo, and he's got almost 10 yards of cushion. So he should be fine in terms of giving up the deep throw. Carson is going to do exactly what he should do. He's going to hold the safety for a second. He's going to throw that ball. But unfortunately, 30 miles per hour wins. The ball just carries. Carson, in his post-game interview, actually in his interview yesterday, said that when the ball left his hand, in his mind, he said, that's a touchdown. And he's right. Where this ball leaves his hand, and you see it better from the backside angle of the all-22, and where this ball lands ain't the same thing. Where he was aiming it and where it ends up ain't the same thing, and the wind just took it. But this would have been a touchdown. And if this is a touchdown, we're having a different conversation about what went wrong with this offense. We're having a different conversation about our ability potentially to score points, to be explosive, what that might look like against Ohio State if plays like this are able to hit. Dawson called up the right play at the right time. Carson did everything he needed to do, but elements out of your control dictated the fact that this play wasn't going to work. And I think from there, not that I think, I know, from there was a different mentality in terms of us trying to take shots down the field. Because what could happen, and I think we saw it with Marcel Reed, where the wind is carrying the ball and the ball don't go where you want it to go. And that can create turnovers. Dawson is very, very turnover averse. He does not like putting the ball in danger. He does not even like creating negative plays or the opportunity for negative plays very much. So he's not going to do a bunch of that. Now, I do have to knock Carson, though, because I do feel like he was a little antsy at times. And that's kind of the goal of a defense like Texas A&M's, where they want to hit you early. They want to blitz you early. So that way you're sped up later in the game, even when you don't have to be sped up. And this play is an example of Carson being a little sped up, even when he didn't have to be. Because if he waits just a hair, this is going to be a touchdown. I'll let the play go, and then we'll talk about it. This ends up being a throwaway. It didn't have to be. Carson ends up throwing this ball out the back of the end zone in the direction of Keelan Mary, and there was nothing there. But I'm going to let the play go again. So it's a mesh concept. You got Elijah Lofton coming across the formation this way. You've got CJ Daniels crossing. You're looking to get the mesh point. Can somebody break free? Can you get some DBs that run into each other? Can you get some separation because a guy's trying to dodge another guy, and so now he's off on his man coverage? Everything is great, except Carson throws the ball a little too soon. Carson was sped up. Look at CJ. If Carson holds onto this ball just for one more tick, he looks at CJ, probably a touchdown. If Carson holds the ball one more tick and goes through one more read, Elijah, look at Elijah. That's a touchdown. So they sped him up. They hit him early. I just showed the play. He ends up with a man in his face. And so his clock was moving a little fast at times. And this is one of those times where the clock was moving faster than it had to be. He's got time. Look at the pocket. Look at this pocket. That pocket is nearly perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Cassius Howell, I believe it is, going to try and work inside. But he's way late. Even if Carson hold on to this ball one more second, CC is pushing Cassius Howell away. He's not a threat to Carson. Carson's got all day to throw this ball. And if he waits just one more second, he goes through one more read. That's a touchdown. That's not a bad play call by Dawson. That's not Dawson being out schemed. That's not being too cute. That's just your quarterback was sped up. That's one that I know when Carson looked at the film, he wanted back. 100%. 100%. When he looked at that on the film, he wanted that one back. 100%. Now let's get into the last thing I'm going to get into because, y'all know I try to keep these short. I'm trying to go too long on these. All of those people who was complaining about the inside zone, about the duo runs ending up in the A gap, come to the front. Let's have a conversation. Because that ended up being the best play. A lot of the fan base spent a lot of time down talking Dawson running plays up the A gap. Whether it was duo, where the running back is choosing and the running backs are choosing the A gap, or it was a flat out inside zone. Come to the front. Time to come to the altar. Y'all got to eat some crow because y'all were adamant about him not doing that, and that ended up being our best play, absolutely. I'm not even going to show the big 56-yarder because I'm sure you've seen it a million times. But I do want to show this one because this, I thought, was something that I saw on film when I watched Texas A&M, that because their defense is so aggressive against the run, they can get misfit. I saw it against Texas. I saw it against South Carolina. You saw it against Notre Dame. They can end up misfitting against the run, and it ends up creating opportunities for good gains on the ground. Let the play roll, and I'll talk about it. So this is an inside run, right? This is entirely an inside run. Now, it's in the pistol, and it's a duo concept where Carson steps to his side a little bit to hand this ball off. Now, Mark Fletcher has the opportunity to choose what hole he wants to hit. He does a really good job of pressing the front side hole, and as you can see, 3 and 27 react to that. 3 and 27 both jump into the same hole. So again, being overly aggressive against the run, They're now not gap sound. 27 has to respect this gap over here to his left, and he doesn't. He jumps into the same hole where 3 already is, and then Fletcher doing a good job of being patient, having good vision, sees that after pressing the hole, and then bounces it to the B gap in the opposite direction. And now he's got number running room. And similar, this ended up being a similar situation that allowed for the big run on the last possession, the big 56-yarder. It was a similar situation. They were over aggressive against the run and in their run fits, and they end up creating a big old hole for the running back to run into. So all those people who were mad at Dawson about running too much A gap, hey man, the inside zone, the duo ended up being our best play on the day. And at the end of the game, we just ran the ball 6 straight times, mostly up the middle, A gap, maybe B gap runs to go out and get a dub. So ultimately, if I look at the offensive performance and I say what went wrong with Miami's offense, the biggest thing I'm gonna say is execution. Number one, execution was not there, especially on the trick plays or the cute plays or the horizontal plays. We just didn't execute well on those. And so that really is not on Dawson. You could say it's on him because he was calling them and he should have just stuck with the run. And that's fine. That's fair. But really, we just didn't execute on those. And then the elements really took away the opportunity to try to be explosive, to try to take shots at the field without putting the ball in danger. And I'm fine with Dawson not going back to that very much because turnovers ultimately were the difference in this game. And if we turn the ball over, maybe we don't get that dub. But we didn't. Well, we had one turnover. It was the Malachi Tony fumble. But other than that, we didn't put the ball in danger very much from a passing perspective. So I'm not mad at that. And then thirdly, on the offense, you just need to run at them a little bit more. And looking forward to Ohio State, I think we should run right at them. There was a play. Actually, I'm going to show one more play because Ohio State does a lot of 5-man front stuff with Arvell Reese standing at one end and Caden Curry standing at the other end. And I'm going to do another video breaking down, showing some of the film of Ohio State. But they do a lot of stuff that ends up looking like this. Texas A&M, when Torian York walks up, they're in a 5-man front. And Ohio State does a good bit of this type of stuff. And I think we should run right at him. You're going to see Elijah Lofton pull, seal the edge against Torian York. This would be an Arvell Reese probably against Ohio State. And when he seals it, because that 5-man front is hat on a hat, and the running back is able to squeeze right through. It creates a nice little hole in the C gap, and he's able to squeeze through and able to go get good yardage. Ohio State runs a lot of 5-man front stuff, a good bit of 5-man front stuff. And so I would like to see concepts like this. Give me some split zone with Ballman or Lofton pulling to the opposite side of the line and creating holes like this because everything else is a hat on a hat. And at that point, I think we can block up Ohio State at the point of attack. David Polak in his latest podcast said that he thought Miami was better than Ohio State on the offensive and defensive lines. I think he might be right. And if that's the case, we should be able to run the ball. I'm going to do another video really breaking down that film, some of the things that I've seen against Ohio State, some of the things that I expect us to see, as well as some things I think we could do to counteract it. But this was all the film I saw. Again, when it came to what went wrong with the offense, I don't think we ran too many trick plays. I think we just didn't execute well when we ran them. The elements really restricted the things that Dawson wanted to try to do in the pass game, not really throwing the ball deep, not putting the ball in danger, giving the defense an opportunity to create turnovers. And then thirdly, run right at them. And we just didn't do that enough. We could have ran right at them a little bit more, and that's something I want to see when we play against Ohio State. As always, anybody who tunes in, I really, really appreciate it. Can't say that enough. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. Again, I'm going to be in Dallas at the game, at the Cotton Bowl versus Ohio State. Might do a live show on site. Again, I can't do this type of stuff. I can't continue to grow this channel without you guys helping me out, without you guys supporting. So I really, really appreciate it. And as always, go Canes, man. I'm going to see y'all next week out there in Dallas. Be Easy.